these old
Can you
arguments
create a
that uses
fly?
that
A new
exact
podcast
question
by
to
Raja
totally
Muslim.
flip our understanding
Copyright
of
Raja
power,
Muslim.
creation, and who's really in control. And this is the question right at the heart of it all. It's so simple, it almost catches you off guard, doesn't it? Seriously, just let that sink in for a second. Can you, or anyone you know, or, all of humanity with all our technology, actually create a living fly? So, this whole challenge comes straight from the Quran. It's from a verse that lays out a very specific logical test for all of humanity. It's a fascinating argument that kicks off with a super simple idea and builds to a really profound conclusion. So, let's break it down. Okay, so first things first, the real power of this argument is just how devastatingly simple it is. It doesn't get bogged down in complicated philosophy, it points to something that is literally buzzing around us. And this is what's so clever about it. The challenge is intentionally small scale. I mean, it's not asking to create a galaxy or a mountain. By choosing the fly, this creature we think of as, just an annoying pest, the argument becomes incredibly sharp and almost impossible to wiggle out of. It just sidesteps all the grand ideas to test one fundamental thing: capability. Right. So to really get the weight of this challenge, we have to look past our idea of the fly as just some nuisance and see what it actually is, which it turns out is a mind-blowing marvel of complexity. We've all seen one of these a million times, right? The common housefly. But what are we really looking at when we see it? Okay, let's zoom in a bit. So, for starters, a single fly is basically a living city of somewhere between 1 and 10 million individual cells. Every single one of them is a tiny, functioning biological factory. And believe me, that's just scratching the surface. And if you thought that was a lot, let's go even deeper. Inside those millions of cells, you've got the actual building blocks of matter. We're talking over 100 trillion atoms, all arranged in a perfect, specific, life-sustaining order. The scale is it's almost impossible to wrap your head around. And these aren't just random giant numbers. No way. They represent this whole universe of perfectly coordinated activity. You've got DNA that's encoding unbelievably complex instructions, proteins that are folding with absolute precision, energy systems that are running 24/7, and neural circuits coordinating something as complex as autonomous flight. It is a self-contained, living, breathing machine of incredible complexity. So here's the bottom line. When you actually understand what a fly is, the conclusion is kind of unavoidable. No scientist, no government, no super team of geniuses has ever been able to take a pile of raw, non-living stuff and create a living creature with this level of functional complexity. It just can't be done.
But wait, the argument doesn't stop there. It's not just about creation. It introduces a second test, one that's just as powerful. And this one shifts from the power of making something to the power of controlling it.
This is the second half of that verse, and it presents a whole new scenario. It asks, what happens if this insignificant little creature takes something from you? A crumb, a tiny drop of sugar. Can you get it back? And it's so important to get this. The text isn't just being poetic here. This isn't a metaphor. It's being presented as a direct, logical exposure of a fundamental weakness. I mean, just think about that dynamic for a second. The fly does one simple thing. It lands, grabs a microscopic bit of something, and it's gone. And humanity, with all of our technology, our intelligence, our power, we are completely incapable of reversing that one simple act. That crumb is gone forever. We're left totally powerless. So all of this brings us to the argument's grand finale. By combining this test of creation with the test of control, the verse builds this airtight logical case about what weakness is and where real power actually comes from. The logic is like a clear 1-2 punch. First, if something can't create even the simplest form of life, well, then it's not a true creator. Simple as that. And second, if that same something can't even control a tiny fly to get a crumb back, then it has no ultimate power. It's a complete takedown of any claim to absolute authority. And here's where it gets really interesting, because this fly test, it's not just about a fly. The argument applies this logic to anything that people might elevate to a godlike status. Think about wealth. Sure, it can buy you a lot, but it can't create life from non-life. And if a market crashes, that wealth just evaporates, and no amount of power can just get it back. The same logic works for powerful systems, leaders, ideologies. None of them can pass this simple two-part test. And this is the final verdict that the verse delivers. Wow, it's such a powerful statement. It basically says that Both sides are weak. The thing being relied on, the pursued, and the person doing the relying, the pursuer. Both are shown to be completely limited.
Now, this whole argument is structured as a logical hammer against a key theological concept called shirk. And all that means is the act of giving divine attributes, like the power to create or have ultimate control, to anything that is itself created. The fly test is basically designed to be a simple physical proof that anything created will always, always fail this ultimate test of divinity.
And there's a really deep psychological insight here. At the end of the day, this argument is designed to slice right through that common illusion we all have, that the things we build, the things we chase, the things we serve, our power structures, our ambitions, our wealth, have any real, ultimate control over reality. It just grounds us in a totally different perspective.
So we're left with this question, aren't we? The argument of the fly uses something that seems so small, so simple, to reveal a massive truth about power and creation. And it makes you wonder, what else in our own lives seems simple on the surface, but is holding a much deeper lesson if we just took a moment to look a little closer?